Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a new season of the Everything Simulated Formula Ford Championship, supported by Player1 Sim Gear. We are here at Phillip Island for the first of 4 rounds in our recruitment series that takes us all the way to Christmas, effectively, and the end of 2025 before a new season of Super Formula Lights racing begins in the new year. We're here at Phillip Island for the first of 4 rounds, as I say, 3 of them taking place in Australia, with 1 trip over to Ledenon next week for round number 2, after a calendar change that now sees us go to the new track of Adelaide. That's going to be a voyage of discovery for everybody in iRacing. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, and Reece Gardner taking you through this season, with George Cook behind the cameras once again. 30-minute feature races after a 15-minute open qualifying session. It's exactly the same format as the recruitment series preceding season 4 of 2025, just won by Sebastian Eskandari last week in record fashion indeed. Good evening, Reece. Good to have you alongside me again. This is really was a great introduction to you, I felt, of this series back in preceding season 4 of 2025. Really enjoyed the season. Kay Ryder ended up winning the championship by just 9 points, but the races themselves were extremely close and very, very busy as well, crammed into half an hour.
Yeah, indeed. And it's going to be the exact same deal this season. Only 4 rounds, a single 30-minute race per round. It's going to be short and sweet, this series, which is exactly how I like it. But I think with how strong these cars are in the slipstream and with the relative speeds they're going to be reaching here at Phillip Island, we're going to be in for a pretty chaotic first round.
We certainly are. I recently did, well, not that recently, but not that long ago, did an open wheel race round here. I think it was F3s maybe around here. And I was absolutely shocked by the level of slipstream that you get somehow from this racetrack. It doesn't feel like one of those circuits you would do, because it's so twisty. Looking at that track map, so technical all the way through. And I guess I've seen too much V8 supercar racing around here, which is demonstrably not like that. But it's one of those places in the Formula Ford you really can pick up a good tow. So yes, you're going to need to qualify well and get up towards the front to avoid trouble, I would guess. But that doesn't mean you can't work your way through the field. And I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of drivers staying in touch with the leaders for some time in this race, because of the circuit and the way that it keeps drivers so close to the leader all throughout this race.
Yeah, by the same token, though, you've also got to be very careful not to get involved in a crash and lose touch with the slipstreaming pack. That's going to be something the drivers will need to look out for. If these cars end up splitting into 2 or 3 different packs and they can't get out of each other's hair, then there's going to be problems. This is going all to plan for Team Max Boost, winners of the recent Super Formula Lights season. Sebastian Eskandari, the reigning champion, topped practice, and at the moment sitting there with his teammates getting ready to coordinate their next lot of lap times. Now, the times that you're seeing on the tower at the moment, they are just outlap times, because it's a weird quirk of where the start-finish line is relative to the pit lane exit here. So I think this might be the first real look we're going to see at the true pace of these drivers. Looking for lap times in the high 1-minute 38s.
It looks like Max Boost has taken on a bit of a different, slightly different shade to the sort of silvery black parts of their livery. Maybe I'm going a bit crazy and it's just the same, it's on a different car, but anyway, they're running in tandem again, as expected, but notice that a couple of drivers have decided to try and get in with them and use their slipstream, which is probably not a bad idea. They've slowed down dramatically on that first lap to just give themselves a little bit of space. I can't quite tell who that is in there with them, but there is somebody trying to, it's Jackson Rihanna, ironically, second place in the last 2 Super Formula Lights Championships now in 2025. Quite smart, actually, to try and get in with them. And I wonder how many people are going to start to try this over the course of the season and just get into the slipstream of the Max Boost drivers themselves and say, well, if you're going to help each other and play the teammate game, then there's nothing stopping me from hitching a ride on the back of your train. And that's exactly what he's decided to do, and they slow down to let him pass. So he's going to slow down again as well. Well, these are quite some games to be playing in qualifying, but Max Boost don't want to give him slipstream, and he doesn't want to run on his own, and so there's a bit of a disagreement between the two groups at the moment.
Looks like it, and it's going to very much complicate things as time goes on. Nathan Burney just slipping in there ahead of Jackson Rihanna, who went off the circuit on the run down to MG. Further to your point earlier about the slipstream around here, yeah, Phillip Island, you spend a lot of time in the corners at this circuit, but the parts where you are flat out are incredibly long, and especially in cars like this, it can produce quite a bit of slipstream. There we go. Already got cars in the 39s. Terry Nightingale from the Turbo Bros team currently sitting on top. Good to see Terry out there. I was teammates with him once upon a blue moon, probably about, it would be 15 years ago now, or something to that effect. Good to see that he is still around. Is engaged in motorsport commentary, and also is driven in the Bathurst 6 Hour in the real world. So he's got a bit of pedigree behind him. And his father as well is quite a bit of a local legend in the Bathurst area. But for the moment, keep an eye on Jackson Rihanna to see if he can break out of the doldrums here in the draft. Oh my goodness, the rear end is quite loose on these things, isn't it?
Yeah, very loose out of the left-hander. Turn 6, Siberia for Jackson Rihanna. Does he go for the... Oh, this will be a squeeze. There's a Max Boost driver on the inside there. He's making a pass on the inside here, is Jackson Rihanna. This is proper racing, but in qualifying, which is unusual. Oh, he brakes too late and he slides. Coming down the hill. Oh, and he's still side by side. This is annoying for both of them. But they've got in each other's way. Down in towards turn 10. Just locking the rears a little bit, sliding on the way down the hill there. And that is a feature of these cars. I must admit, find these cars very, very difficult to drive. That's one of the reasons when you're braking, even when it's not downhill and very tricky like it is down there at turn 10, these cars are very, very difficult to get slowed down while not pitching them sideways. Rihanna still goes to 7th, but Eskandari gets the best time of everybody, and by some distance as well.
Yeah, Jackson Rihanna's got something to prove here. Not only did he finish second in the Super Formula Lights Championship to Eskandari, he also ended up finishing second to Kane Ryder in the previous season of this Formula Ford recruitment series, and it was all decided by a penalty in qualifying at the final round at Navarra, which caught us out here in the commentary box. So it's looking like Jackson's going to be pulling out all the stops here to try and get as good a qualifying position as he can for the first round, but all of these team games and shenanigans are making things ever so slightly difficult. Seth Burkhart's part of the Tulip Racing team, demonstrating how strong that slipstream is down the front stretch. Coming into turn 1 at Dewan Corner, it's certainly a bit scary when you're narrow on the inside there in a car with no downforce, because you tip it in and you think that you're going to take a certain arc through these corners. At Phillip Island, it's very easy to understeer through them and get spat out on the other side. So Eskandari still leads the way, 38.9 current best time, and it's a long, just as I say that, Kane Ryder goes pretty much exactly on the same lap time. It comes up as purple on our screen because it's exactly the same time. I guess it must be split by the tens of thousands, because he sets it second, and it clearly isn't quite the best time of the day just yet, but that was a good time from Kane Ryder. Just moves ahead of Vaughan Ryder, then Daniel McCrohan. So it's a max boost 1 through 4. But what I was going to say was the gap between Eskandari and second place was as big as the gap from
there to the top, rest of the top 10 effectively, but things have all gotten a lot closer, and so he has teammates up there with him, Eskandari, but again, there's going to be others in other teams who are going to be able to get in amongst the Max Boost drivers, you'd imagine, at some point throughout this race. So it's not going to quite be the domination, I don't think, that we've seen from Eskandari at times in the Formula Lights Championship season. I guess underscored by last week, where he finished off the season with a pretty dominant performance.
Yeah, he was a long way ahead of everybody else there. Well, Daniel Ackland going to put himself in P7 there. Michael Scott putting himself into P8. Some big gains being made across the entire field here. The spread is looking to be about 2 seconds or so, 3 seconds between everyone who has set lap times at the moment. We're still waiting to see if there's anyone from further down in the field that can catch the right amount of slipstream and elevate themselves further forward. But seems like here in this sort of approaching the end stage of the session, not much moving apart from Campbell Adams up to 18th there on that time, and Ben Ryder putting himself 16th. Campbell Adams, for the record, was the driver that Jackson Rihanna, while we were on board with him, attempted to make a pass on.
Okay, so finally found some clean air and moves up the field. By the way, tonight we've got 32 in the session. Wiley Blair, the only one to not set a time. The others all have. And there's no class split in this series, by the way. You may have noticed on the left-hand side we don't have gold and silver. Those are being parked for the Super Formula Lights Championship, the Formula Ford series, as it was last season as well, preceding season 3. It's just a one-class series, and I think that probably works for this series. It is just 1 half-hour race each evening, so nothing too complicated, and the classes are therefore not too complicated either. There is enough fuel in these cars from standard, by the way, even though we do have a fixed setup to go the whole race, so no pit stops are required either. It's going to be a proper sprint race, just one proper sprint race here for the season. There's Todd Parks, who's just moved up to 12th place in this qualifying session as well, just inside a second away from Sebastian Eskandari. He's only got a few behind him also within a second, and Danny McCrowan moves up. So Max Boost is still mobbing the front, 1 through 4, but it's a new driver at the top. Eskandari pushed to 3rd as McCrowan goes to the top, and Vaughan Ryder up to 2nd.
Yes, McCrowan, one of the top competitors in the previous season of Formula Fords here at FDL. He was almost always up there with Jackson Rihanna and the riders, and of course Eskandari as well when he showed up at the final round ahead of his Super Formula Lights domination tour. Now down into the heavy braking zone at Jack Miller, the hairpin at turn 4, which is going to be one of the prime overtaking opportunities around this place. Siberia, another spot where you can make passes and even hold it round the outside, bit more of a camber to that left-handed turn 6. But it's all flat out through the hay shed on your way up to Lukey Heights. And I think this corner in particular coming up at Lukey is going to be one of the places we see the most incidents, because there's a lot of space obviously on the tarmac, but it's one line fits all really, and you have to be so careful getting on the brakes for MG. You're braking downhill, and so that means there's actually less braking power available to you. The car isn't going to slow down as quick as you think. Yeah, it's tricky end of the lap here at this venue. Oh dear, that's quite wide. I'm not sure that's ideal for Eskandari, but up towards the line. Will there be any better times here from these guys this time round? There is from Kane Ryder, who moves up to 2nd, but Eskandari doesn't go any quicker. So I'm not sure whether that would have been the reason for it, or whether he already wasn't going to go any faster anyway. But we're only a couple of minutes away from the end here, and Eskandari is slipping further through the field within his teammates, in fairness, but
he's the first one to sort of be attacked by the rest of the field, if you like, when this race goes green. Jordan Mazzaroli and Jackson Rihanna are going to be on the road right behind Eskandari, and they're going to want to immediately overtake him. So I wouldn't want to be the fourth of those teammates, to be honest. As Mazzaroli goes off the circuit, that will maybe be the end of his session.
Yeah, he's going to lose touch with his teammate Seth Burkhart's as well. So that's the Tulip Racing machines split up. Very impressive performance from Mazzaroli in qualifying. Top 5, which is a fantastic run. And knowing the Tulip Racing team as I do, I've seen them plenty. Burkhart's actually going up to P2 there. Looks like Tulip Racing have come here to fight. I usually see them a bit further down the field in most of the series that I see them in. So it's good to see they're up and fighting here.
Yeah, it certainly is. So maybe it will not be max boost all over the front all the way through like it has been at times in this session. Seth Burkhart's just mixing that up a little bit. Scott Partine also in that group. 17th position for him, just over a second off of the pole of Daniel McCrowan as he goes over the line. There's no improvement there, nobody getting anywhere near to improving actually in the max boost train. They did get over the line with about 20 seconds to go. Other drivers who are going to get over the line in time, not really contending anymore. Jordan Mazzaroli, as I mentioned, is not going to get there and didn't have a very good run on to the pit straight for his latest lap. So Seth Burkhardt is probably the only other driver in the top of the field who is on a lap time at the moment, but as we saw, started the lap time with Partine, has slowed down dramatically because he's, or one of them has. I don't think Burkhardt is on a representative lap time here at all. It's all going to be amongst the max boost drivers, 2 of which have already gone back to the pit lane themselves. Kane and Vorm Rider are both back to the pit lane. Eskandari's on his own. I think he is going to be resigned to just 5th position here.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that, but I think at such a draft-heavy circuit where the slipstream is so important in qualifying, there's someone who's going to lose out on your run plan, the way you strategize, who does a fast lap when, whether or not they can actually get that lap in is another question. Off tracks are always a factor at Phillip Island, being an old-school circuit with little to none in the way of tarmac runoff, just grass lining the track beyond the curbs. Here's Eskandari then. Was green in sector 1 but down in sector 2, and that's going to be a 138.8 for him. No, 139.1, sorry. Doesn't quite count for an improvement, so that's going to be the last we see of him. Scott Pocock, meanwhile, going to cross the line here as Campbell Adams moves back up to 16th, and Pocock's time will not be an improvement either. Michael Scott going to come to the line as James Kasser puts himself P15, another big improvement from further back in the field, and Michael Scott will set a time in the 1:39s there to put himself P12. So that's going to be the end of things then, apart from maybe a couple more drivers who are just straggling here at the end of the session. But very shortly, we'll be flicking on over to the race, and it will just be a flat-out sprint. But virtual safety cars will be a factor here. We may or may not see a VSC interruption at some point.
Yeah, that is the format for slowing everybody down throughout the whole season. There will be no safety cars out there, no opportunities for us to watch our safety car driver crash, which I don't think we saw last season, which it was seeming missing, I felt. But anyway, Jimmy Peacock drove well in the 1 or 2 occasions he had to, so there we go. But virtual safety cars for the Formula Ford Series, and this is how they line up for the first round. Daniel McCrowan will be on the pole in front of Seth Burkhardt, and then 3 max boost teammates for McCrowan: Kane Ryder, Vorm Ryder, and Sebastian Eskandari. Jordan Mazzaroli is alongside the reigning Super Formula Lights champion, ahead of Jackson Rihanna, who finished 2nd in both the last 2 series. He starts 7th here ahead of Dan Bartush. Then it's Chase Tippett and David Gallo rounding out the top 10. 11th place to Dan Ackland, who's ahead of Michael Scott. Scott Pocock and Matt Tesoriero on row 7, ahead of James Cassett and Todd Parks. Campbell Adams rounds out the guys within a second of pole. Tom Donahue then next. Scott Bartine and Daniel Byrne round out the top 20. Tony Nightingale is 21st in front of Dylan Liddell with Pete Ziedler and Ben Ryder on row 12. Mitchell Albert and Josh Marsh on 13, ahead of Dean O'Neill and Nathan Verney. Scott Bampton and Martin Lipsky round out the top 30 ahead of Tristan McLaren and Wiley Blair, who was not setting a time in that session. So 32 in the field. And they're all just gritting up at the moment. Standing start as always, and then we'll be properly underway for half an hour of breathless racing. I'd imagine, Reese, we're not going to get much time to take stock of this. I wouldn't have thought it's going to be busy, this race, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any time to kick back and really analyze what's going on. I think it's just going to be play by play all the way through with how competitive this field is, how, you know, we're familiar with all of these drivers, most of them anyway. We know how much they're going to leave on the table or how little, depending on the driver. And, well, here we go. Enough chatter. Let's get started.
Absolutely. A new Formula Ford season ready to go at Phillip Island, and we are underway. Not a great launch from Seth Burkhardt, who's already got Kane Ryder alongside him in this slightly uphill run over the top of the crest there and down the other side. Burkhardt is already going to lose a place here. It's a max boost 1-2. Eskandari and Ryder, Vaughan Ryder are side by side as well for fourth place. They get it sorted as Burkhardt immediately strikes back inside line for the left-hander, and he should get through there with a shorter run, although McLaren's going to give Ryder the slipstream, and that could get Burkhardt's freight train, who's on the inside. Look at Eskandari as well, following in really closely to try and get down the inside by the time they get to turn 4. The big hairpin right-hander, already trouble in the background, big trouble in the background. Tom Donahue involved off the road, and all sorts going on further down the back of the field. Oh my word, look at the gap there. That tells a story, doesn't it? The top 9 have gotten through cleanly. The rest of them have gotten caught up in a big smash up down the back of the field.
Oh, they have, and it is massive. I'm just going back to view it myself. I think we've had some 9 or 10 cars involved. Chase Tippett, unfortunately, T-boning Dan Bartush, who ended up catching the grass on the way out of turn 3, or the way through turn 3, and unfortunately broadside ahead of the oncoming pack. There wasn't much anyone could do to avoid that. We had cars flying about, so we're going to get a look at that. So many drivers with mechanical black flags from this very moment. Up ahead, Dan Bartush spins, Tippett gets into him, and then, well, yeah, it's luck of the draw, really.
Tippett, absolutely wild. Oh my word, he's never been more thankful this is sim racing, I suspect. That was wild ride back there. I counted at least 10 meatballs, never mind 10 involved in the crash. Goodness me. In the pit lane, already 11 drivers will be forced in. It's even more than I suspected initially. Goodness me. They do have a fast repair, but if you're making a pit stop in this race, unfortunately, you're already a long way behind, because we are not expecting any in these races this season. Unfortunately, we've already seen some for those guys. Battle now between the Max Boost drivers out front as Burkhardt decides what to do about getting involved with these guys. Vaughan Ryder has been pushed down the field, so it is only a leading 3, and Burkhardt is trying to get among them. But McCrow and Burkhardt going side by side is only going to open up a gap in front of them. Burkhardt and Mazzaroli really need to get together themselves and start to fight back as teammates as well, I feel, because otherwise they're going to find it difficult to overhaul 3 teammates at the front like this.
Yeah, they'll need to decide pretty quickly which one of them is going to be the leader driver taking point, and which one's going to play rear gunner, or if anything, do they want to work together with Jackson Rihanna to try and get this done? Rihanna is the next car behind them, and he seems a bit content to stay in line there. They're followed by David Gallo, Vaughan Ryder, and Daniel Ackland. Vaughan Ryder currently up 4 places. Oh, sorry, down 4 places as they come around to complete the second lap. Not a huge lead for Eskandari and McCrowan. This is Scott Pocock's view of that lap 1 incident. Is the spin ahead, and well, yeah, I mean, when it happens that close to you, what can you really do other than just point the wheel in a direction and hope?
Yeah, there's especially at that corner, I would suspect, through turn 3, not really a corner when you're flat out on your own. But if there's a crash in front, you just don't have the agility in these cars to actually move out the way, because you're already sort of locked into the turn and getting yourself sized up for turn 4, which comes up very soon after on the brakes, as Seth Burkhardt demonstrates down the inside, and he does finally get up to 3rd place more comfortably this time in front of McCrowan. Still not quite in amongst the Max Boost drivers properly, and they're not quite separated as much as these others would like, but that is a start. He's got to get to 3rd at least initially, and now he's got to try and keep McCrowan there and get Mazzaroli now in front of Daniel McCrowan as well.
Yes, but unfortunately it looks like Mazzaroli's not going to have much help from his teammate there. With the car separating them, this could be the opportunity down at MG. Big move from Jordan Mazzaroli, even gets up the inside of his teammate as well, but they will fall back into line through the penultimate corner. Just enough space to get that done. Jackson Rihanna still right there, getting ready to potentially join the Tulip Racing teammates, but McCrowan makes life a bit difficult for them. He will get up the inside of Mazzaroli through the final corner, and Rihanna has a double slipstream now down the front straight, almost interlocking wheels. That's very dangerous at these speeds in these cars. Who's going to win the race through to turn 1? Let's see here as the Tulip teammates exchange places, and there's contact, and Daniel McCrowan will have Rihanna move through on him. Looks like Mazzaroli might be in trouble too.
Whoa, the teammates very nearly hit each other there, and Rihanna loses a place to Gallo as this gap now is really extending to the leaders who are battling themselves. Kane Ryder gets in front of Sebastian Eskandari. Oh, look at McCrowan on the inside of 3 wide there. Teammates on 2 wide as well already. They nearly hit each other through turn 2, the teammates, and Gallo dives 3 wide now as well. It's going to be contact. Oh, they're going to hit each other here. McCrowan's off the road. Somehow they get away with it. Dear, oh dear, I've no idea how, but they're still all going. Mazzaroli there made contact with Gallo, who then in turn made contact with McCrowan. Vaughan Ryder now involved as well in another one further back, but that was so close to taking them all out the race. Thankfully that didn't happen at least, but wow, they were super close there to a big moment, and in the end, they get away with it, only having lost about 1.3 seconds to the leaders. That'll be the big problem here. They are a lot further behind that top 2 now.
Yeah, but fortunately for them, it is a little bit easier to regain that time from about 1.3 seconds back than it is from 3 seconds. Vaughan Ryder then with a mechanical black flag from that contact that we saw, caught the tail end of. It was unfortunately contact with Daniel Ackland that did that. And so Vaughan is now out of contention here. Not much else that he's going to be able to do other than go into the pits and hope that he can just save a few positions. That's rather close there between Rihanna and McCrowan, 2 drivers who fought tooth and nail over the course of last season. And it looks like Rihanna is a little bit off rhythm for the moment. Got to keep an eye out for McCrowan's damage as well. The little bits of damage and slight hits that he's had have crumpled his front nose cone a little, which might be hurting his straight line speed, which is what you need the most of around here.
And Rihanna very nearly having a big accident, to be honest. You mentioned the interlocking wheels the previous lap, but they very nearly did it right there. These teammates, I've got to say, are not working that well together, Mazzaroli and Burkhardt. You get the feeling that they're almost not working together and they're sort of racing for themselves, but Max Boost out front are much more organised. And it's going to be between Kane Ryder and Sebastian Eskandari for the win, you'd guess. Burkhardt's again looking up the inside of his teammate here, and you can understand why a little bit more that time, because Gallo was trying to overtake him. Jackson Rihanna's in here as well. Oh, and he dived from one side to the other. That was threading the needle there. Jackson Rihanna putting full trust in those around him to go down the inside, but This is now a fight for third place. Their dreams of winning the race, I think, are over inside the first 10 minutes because that gap already is too large. And it's, I don't imagine, going to come down enough for them to get involved in the battle for the race lead. Now it's going to be super close over the start-finish line. Gallo's going to make it 3 wide, is he? That's right, and he's in the grass. Rihanna says no. And McCrowan is going to come through on Gallo instead here. Oh dear, and there's a blinking as well. That's not helpful as they're coming towards turn 1. Burkhart's in the end holds on from Rihanna. Gallo and McCrowan continue to fight further behind.
And it was Burkhart's who was the blinker there, and that's far from ideal in a tight pack situation like this when you're running at such high speeds and the car in front of you disappears for a second or two at a time. You don't know where they're going to be when they pop back in, and might result in some ghost contact. You need to be careful of that. Exchange again between the Tulip teammates. Mazzaroli has to give way to Burkhart's, and once again Rihanna gets involved. Yeah, I think if the Tulip guys really want to catch up to Ryder and Eskandari, they have to be willing to work together a little bit more. I suppose, to be fair to them, it is a bit more difficult considering that they've got 4 other drivers trying to get those positions off them.
Yeah, they have. You know, they're being crowded around here very much, but you know, this didn't start last lap. They could have been a bit more organised from the very beginning here, but there you go. Rihanna down the inside meantime on the brakes for the right-hander. He moves up to 4th position now, but Mazzaroli might be able to just get straight back through again anyway because Burkhart's is right there, so if he just pulls it alongside, surely he'll get the slipstream from his teammate. And here we go. Which way is he going to go? Well, there we go, to the right-hand side, and Burkhart's will now move over. He'll give the slipstream, but Rihanna's going to try and box them in. He's going to try and box in the teammates. Oh, he tried to just box himself out of that, did Mazzaroli, and he made contact with Rihanna. Very nearly another big crash towards turn 1. They get away with it, and Rihanna will get to 3rd in the end here. Burkhardt will get on the inside of Mazzaroli, and in front as well through the left-hander. Then you've got McCrowan. Wow, they all survive a big one there as Rihanna successfully boxed it teammate behind his own teammate there.
Yeah, it's like one of those sneezes that you feel coming and then it goes away. That's what this race feels like to me. There's every so often coming together just like that as Rihanna gets unceremoniously bumped out of the way by the Tulip car, and now he has to fall back to the back of the pack, and there's a bit more wheel bang in there for Daniel McCrowan as he tries to make his way past Burkhardt. These guys have come infinitesimally close to a race-ending collision about 4 or 5 times now by my count. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is oh dear again. I mean, how are we getting away with this through you know, 11 minutes so far? I'm not sure. We've got another 19 left yet. Dear me, that's just about still all running smoothly at this group. There's 6 of them here, by the way. Dan Ackland's at the back of it and not really getting involved with anything. Campbell Adams is slow on the way towards turn 3. I think he's just letting through a few drivers on the lead lap. The field behind is very spaced out. There's not really much to watch at all apart from this group. There is a bit of a reforming group for 10th place, but it's not quite like this group, that's for sure. Down the inside for Rihanna on Burkhardt. He will get through. Not on Mazzaroli though. A little bit more cordial this time between everybody down towards turn 1. But again, the teammates not having such a hold over this field like Max Boost were when they were at the front of the leading group, battling for the lead.
Yes, well, here's the third group that we focus on for the first time. Mitchell Albert, who's made a stunning run up the field, up 13 places, one of many drivers to avoid the carnage on lap 1 and gain bulk time from it, battling with Peter Zeidler in the number 8. And that's the move made for Zeidler, and potentially James Castor is going to find his way through as well. You'll be able to see the Turbo Bros cars pretty clearly. They're all running a one-piece inspired livery, which is always nice to see on a Formula Ford. We'll see what Dylan Little and John Marsh can do about all of this as well, because these guys are in a pretty similar situation to the battle for third. You know, mixture of different teams and drivers who just need to try and work with each other and coordinate. Maybe not go for the move at every single corner. Just bide your time, let yourself be dragged along, occasionally swap places at the front of the pack to keep your average speed up, and then you might be able to see something happen. Well, obviously that's not happening here in the battle for third. They are 3 wide for that very position.
Yeah, 3 wide again, and Rihanna the one going backwards. So he's back to third in the group, but he takes a bit more slipstream before the teammates go side by side again through turn 1. And he's going to try and follow the prevailing driver, Seth Burkhart's in this occasion. So Masroli, oh, he's going to get overtaken twice. I think there was a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there, nearly was anyway, between Rihanna and Masroli. Then you've got McCrowan, Gallo and Ackland, who are the other 3. Again, Dan Ackland's been here the whole time, by the way. He's just been hanging out at the back, not getting involved, and that's probably a good idea. Oh, and there you go! That's why it's a good idea. There's contact at the front. Jackson Rihanna's off in the gravel, and I'd be surprised if neither he or Seth Burkhart's have damage after that. It was coming for a long time, and finally, it's happened towards turn 4.
Yeah, wow, that was side to side, interlocking wheels contact. I am very surprised that Rihanna doesn't have more damage on the car there. It looks like he might have gotten away with it, honestly. There's still some cosmetic damage to his nose cone, whatever, but I think the suspension and the wheels survived that. No mechanical black flag for Jackson Rihanna. So he has been demoted to 8th place, but he is still able to fight.
That's pretty unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, have a look at this. To be fair, I don't know whose fault that really is, to be honest. They both should have been more careful, is probably the answer to that, but it's not very good. It's not a very good one. Down to 8th place then with Scott Barchine. I wonder whether they're going to work together to try and get back to this group. Well, they're going to get some help, that's for sure. Again, the teammates not imposing control on this group at all. Daniel McCrowan wants to make it a max boost 1, 2, 3, and Masroli backs out of it from the middle. Probably the good idea. But Daniel McCrowan moves up into 3rd place suddenly. He feels with Rihanna out of the group now, this is an opportunity for him to move up.
Yes, indeed. I suppose a plus of having one driver fall out of contention in a pack is you have a few less to worry about when you're in the middle of a fight for position. Look, McCrowan getting a bit swamped there by the Tulip cars. He runs into the back of Seth Burkhart's ever so slightly, almost unsettles him, but manages to keep Mazzaroli behind him. And Jackson Rihanna has managed to recover just ahead of Scott Bartine, and Tippett is not too far behind them. Of course, Tippett a lap down, but that's another pack that's formed now, and they could give chase to these guys.
Yeah, it could do. And again, they're doing everything to help out, it seems, as we dip into the second half of this race now. We will obviously keep an eye on Eskandari and Kame Ryder at the front of the field, who are fighting for the race lead, but at the moment they're just exchanging places as teammates. Not much of a battle going on up here. Now, certainly is further down. This is still Little and Mitchell Albert at the back of the group for 10th place, headed by James Cassett at the moment. Got to be careful these two don't go side by side for too often, not as to let the others get away, the other 3. This is a 5-driver group, as is that one at the front now for 3rd position. 3 wide again towards turn number 1, as are these guys, Ziedler, Cassett and Josh Marsh coming through on all of them. In towards turn 1, there's contact, and they get away with it again. Wow, we've got away with some stuff tonight. That was contact towards turn 1. In the end, it was between Cassett and Ziedler, by the way, and somehow both of them keep control and they don't cause a massive crash.
Yeah, I think well, that's not the last time we're going to be seeing something like that. We've already seen it plenty of times. This is Phillip Island. This is the kind of racing that this track produces in slower machinery. Of course, most famous for its bike racing exploits in the real world. Phillip Island has been the host of the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix since the late 1980s, and also supercars competition here as well. Very fast machines for this kind of circuit, and you'd say machines that are pretty suited to it. These cars, on the other hand, they barely produce any power at all. Top speed not all that high, so what that does is it brings everyone closer together, makes the slipstream more powerful. It introduces a bit more of a pack racing dynamic, which is what we're seeing play out here amongst some drivers that may not be too familiar with that.
Yeah, well, let's see where this all ends. Eskandari and Ryder still at the front of the field. This is the group for behind, trying to catch up to the third place group. Rihanna and Bartine exchanging places much in the same way that the two leaders are. These guys again are doing it in a much less organised manner, though Gallo seems to intentionally back out of that one and let Seth Burkhart's in front of him for fourth position. Then you've got Danny McCrowan and Dan Ackland again at the back of the group. So 11 minutes to go. I do wonder when Dan Ackland's going to finally get involved in this, because surely he's not just going to be content with 7th. He's going to get involved at some point, and there we go. He's going to move up to 6th now. Gallo off the road as he tried to get past one of the teammates up front. He went a bit too wide there, got his wheel in the grass and nearly went straight on through the gravel. Stays just in the grass at least, so he should get back in touch with these guys, but just sort of run himself out of road there.
Yeah, that's the problem with what is called Casey Stoner corner, that sweeping left-hander. You turn in a bit too late for it in a car like this with no downforce to speak of. There isn't much that can save you from running off the track, so you need to keep an eye out for that. That's exactly what happened to Dan Bartosh actually on lap 1, which caused the big pile-up. The Tulip teammates again side by side at the front of this pack, and they are not matching the pace of the leaders at all. Eskandari and Ryder are both pretty content running in the 139.9s. These guys, on the other hand, they're stuck in the mid 1 minute 40s. That gap is just continuing to extend for the Max Boost duo out front, about 7 to 8 seconds ahead of Burkhart's, McCrowan and Mazzaroli.
It's a massive gap we're starting to see now. Something we really didn't see at all last season. It was all very close. The top 4 were covered by just a second in round 1 last year. We did see a bit of a more split up second race and a top 2 in race 2, and then a little bit more spread out in round 4 as well. But race 1 was exceptionally close across the board, because I guess that's what round 1s are usually like. They can be a bit more unusual compared to the rest of the season, but this is exactly taken off from where we left off last season, really. Game Ryder and Sebastian Eskandari running 1 and 2 themselves. Very nearly contact again here as Burkhardt and McCrowan went side by side. Thankfully they get away with it again, but I mean, how we've gotten to this point is a bit of a mystery. They've been taking some risks, and they continue to do so in the final 10 minutes.
Yeah, McCrowan absolutely flung it into Siberia there. I thought for sure he was going to make contact with Burkhart's, but ultimately they stay out of each other's hair only by a hair's breadth, really. So coming across the line at the end of this lap, we're going to have 6 laps to go according to my timing. So the clock is ticking. It's time to get consolidated, and the gap for the lead has ballooned out to 8.3, 8.4 seconds now. The only thing these guys can do now is try to decide these positions amongst themselves. Even if they do get it together, I think it's going to be impossible to make that gap up.
Yeah, it certainly will be. They were nearly 3 wide at a moment there towards turn 1, but a little bit more calm this time round. David Gallo has certainly rejoined this group, by the way, and here's Rihanna and Bartine fighting amongst themselves for 8th position. And they're not going to catch 3rd place now, or the 3rd place group, so they might as well fight amongst themselves, and they're not going to be caught by the 10th place group either. Oh, and more switching further up as Burkhardt gets to the front, and McCrowan tries to follow through the left-hander of Siberia, and he's not able to get in front on this occasion. Well, it's all still pretty close, but again, no way through for McCrowan to get involved. So maybe the teammates are starting to just keep him away a little bit more successfully than they were before.
Yeah. Oh, that's into the grass for Mazzaroli. He ran wide at the hairpin. That's the reason why the exchange was made for the position. Just went a bit too deep in the braking zone, and now consolidate the outside line for MG. It becomes the inside line for the final corner, and that will move McCrowan back through to fourth for the moment. Burkhardt's getting a slight gap over everyone else. Mazzaroli wants to try and change that. His teammate will... Oh, God! There we go. That's going to be it. Day done for Daniel McCrowan. Sideways across the start-finish line and hard into the wall. It looks like things got a bit too close for comfort.
Well, it had been coming, and Daniel McCrowan now is stationary on the front straight with a meatball to his name. Oh dear, he's trying to follow the leader of the group there, and
yeah, he wasn't aware that Mazzaroli was alongside him.
Yeah, I guess maybe he wasn't aware or thought he could get away with that, but for me, that is a case of, you know, trying so hard to follow the slipstream in front, and you know, you've got to remember, got to be aware when you're doing that there might be somebody alongside you, and unfortunately, in as far as that is concerned, it looks like that is self-inflicted, because yeah, there was a driver already alongside him, and you can't expect them to move out of the way and give you the slipstream. So unfortunately, that does look self-inflicted for Daniel McCrowan.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. McCrowan, it appears, has been given permission to tow from race control. We won't see a virtual safety car from that, and in any case, I think it might be a bit too late in the race for a VSC, though certainly some drivers would welcome it. It would allow them a bit of a chance to maybe make up a second or two. Oh, Mitchell Albert gets sent off into the gravel trap there by Josh Marsh. And it looks like we're going to be seeing Dylan Little make his way up to all of those guys as well. Meanwhile, Burkhardt's, Mazzaroli and Ackland, they continue fighting over third. McCrowan with that mechanical black flag. We'll see no further competition from him, I think, here today. Only a 4-round season, and I think there might be a drop round. I am unsure at this point, but either way, not the best way to start the season for many.
We didn't have one last season. I think we might not, because it is a short season, but we'll find out if the rules are any different. But it is only round one after all. So the trio will continue to fight for third place. You will have seen there at the top, though, the first penalty coming through of the season, which is a bit of a minor miracle, really, considering we've had so much incident and accident so far. David Gallo for 5 seconds of a penalty for a protest by Daniel McCrowan, it was, but also involved was Jordan Mazzaroli, and that's a 5-second time penalty for having no cornering overlap, probably for making a dive somewhere when he was quite a long way back. So Gallo is going to lose out to Rihanna and Bartine and drop to 8th place if things stay as they are, which they may well do. In towards the hairpin for the battle for 21st. Nightingale, Ben Ryder and Riley Blair all fighting for 21st down here. So there are still some battles further down the field, but unfortunately there haven't been many, because very surprisingly we didn't see a VSC after the lap 1 carnage we had.
Yes, I was very interested to see that, but you know, I think typical round 1 growing pains once again. We often see the first round of a new season be you know, occasionally a little off. This is our lead fight. Eskandari and Ryder, they have been keeping things nice and simple here, and when someone's had a clear advantage, they've been given it. and they've been able to extend that gap further and further now. It is approaching 11 seconds that these two have over the rest of the field, and with only 2 laps to go when they cross the line next, I think that'll be certainly welcome for them. Actually, with about 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining on the timer, could next lap be the last lap? We'll have to wait and see on that.
It's going to be quite close. I think it's going to be 2 to go, though. And Burkhardt and Mazzaroli, you'd imagine, finally going to get some interest here from Dan Ackland, who's done, I think, absolutely the right thing in this race. When the group was as big as nearly 10 drivers, he was hanging around at the back then. He made up places from people who crashed. He's just continued to do that, effectively. Now he's up in 5th position, but how does he go about navigating? Oh, it's going to be really close as to whether this is the last lap or not. But Ackland has got a trot to get involved with Burkhardt and Mazzaroli now, and Eskandari and Ryder are still exchanging places as well. If they don't know if it's the last lap or not, that's going to make it difficult for them as well.
Yeah, well, I've just taken a look at Barney, and he is waving the white flag, so it looks like this is going to be the final lap of the race. Confirmed. We'll see if Ryder and Eskandari can keep it as squeaky clean as they have for the majority of the race. Only one small mistake from either of these drivers, and it's going to throw the race wide open, but we know that both of these guys are not very prone to making mistakes at the best of times.
And Sebastian Eskandari, the winner of the last Super Formula Lights season, and Kane Ryder, the winner of the last Formula 4 season, are going to fight over round 1 in the Everything Simulated Formula 4 Championship here this season. It's the run up towards Lukey Heights turn 9, where there's going to be one last chance for Kane Ryder. He's finally being defended from by his teammate now, who has worked so well together to create an 11-second gap. How does Kane Ryder try and get this race lead away? Does he go for the run to the end here? He's got a better line through here, a much better line. He's going to get the run on Eskandari, but is there enough of a straight towards the start-finish line here for him to get in front in time? The two teammates are going to be 1 and 2 at the end of this race, but who is going to be the winner? Eskandari moves it over to the right. He's going to crowd Kane Ryder towards the pit wall, who drives past in the last meters of the race. 200ths of a second, and Kane Ryder, the reigning champion, wins the opening round of the season.
And it's almost a case of Ackland stealing it from the 2 Tulip cars, but not quite enough. Too little too late there. Ackland has to settle for 5th. Burkhardt is going to be your final podium sitter. There's Zeidler, Albert, Little, and Marsh to round out your top 13, all in a line towards the end. And then there's a long gulf of cars that are all by themselves to got spaced out thanks to the lap 1 incident. But man, that was an incredibly close finish in the end. 23 thousandths of a second is what the timing is telling me the gap for the race win there. Ryder getting his season off to the best start possible.
Absolutely. His championship defence couldn't have started any better. He finished only 9 points in front of Daniel McCrone at the end of last season, and that is less than the value of a race win versus a second place point score. That's how important that last run to the line could really be there. A very late pass from Kane Ryder. You just see it, the way that he went through turn 10 and through 11 there. He had a better run, but I wasn't sure whether he'd have the meters to the line to get in front in time. But he certainly did. And Eskandari just misses out in the end in a battle between the teammates at the front of the field. I'll have a look at the race results in a moment when they're available, and hopefully chat to the pair of them at the end of that race. And of course, Seth Burkhardt, who ended up Jordan Mazzaroli, who ended up in 3rd place ahead of Seth Burkhardt. They're tied on time, by the way, so I don't know what's going to happen to them. But anyway, Kane Ryder wins ahead of Sebastian Eskandari. There must have been an exceptionally close finish for 3rd place between Mazzaroli and Burkhardt, the teammates. And then Dan Ackland, who couldn't get involved with them in the end. He was side by side with them at a time, but finishes 5th. David Gallo will drop from 6th place behind Jackson Rihanna and Scott Bartime. with his penalty. Pete Ziedler and Mitchell Albert round out the top 10. Also in that group were Dylan Little, Josh Marsh as well. James Casso was, but dropped out of it towards the end. Nathan Verney, Dion O'Neill round out the top 15, with Michael Scott then next to Martin Lipsky. Scott Pocock was at the front of another group, although not a big group. Tristan McLaren was only with him. And Jacob Bampton rounded out the top 20 in this race. Just over a minute off the lead, Terry Nightingale. With him were Ben Ryder and Riley Blair. Then Vaughan Ryder, Todd Parks, Daniel Byrne round out those on the lead lap. One lap down from Matsuzarero, Chase Tippett, Campbell Adams, Danny McCrowan ends up 4 down after his late crash. Tom Donahue retired early on, as did Dan Bartosh after his opening lap incident. Let's have a chat then, shall we, to the race winner, Kane Ryder, who takes it by just 200ths of a second tonight. Kane, welcome and congratulations on a round 1 victory tonight in your title defence. It was a very close finish between yourself and your teammate. How were you sort of lining those last few corners up there for that run to the line that we saw you take the race win through? How did you line all that up?
Well, I've had a league race here before, and I just did exactly what I did then, and I won by the same margin. I just beat 3/10 coming out of is it Shell Corner, and by rights you should be alongside them or pass them by the finish line, but yeah, that one was kind of close.
Very close between yourself and your teammate, but you must be pleased with the way that you've started this season for Max Boost. Were you surprised that there wasn't more cooperation behind to sort of keep you two in a leading group for longer in that race? Because it was very early on when you both left the rest of the group.
Yeah, well, apparently Dan was saying the other the other cars were fighting a lot, so me and Seb just put our head down then, really worked together, and once we got that 1 second break, we kind of knew that they'd probably fight even more than they were now. So yeah, we just kept working together, as you saw, and really just fought it out in the last 2 laps.
Well, congratulations on that strategy working and getting the race win. The title defence off to the perfect start. Congratulations on that, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of the race as well.
Yep, cheers guys, thank you.
Thanks very much. Kane Ryder, the winner tonight from Phillip Island, in front of Sebastian Eskandari, who finishes in 2nd place. Seb, welcome in. Congratulations on a 2nd place finish, but how are you feeling at the end of this race to just miss out by 200ths of a second there to your teammate?
Yeah, hi guys, thanks for having me on tonight. Yeah, I mean, it was a really good race. Kane and I planned that perfectly, but I guess it was going to happen eventually. Whoever was in 2nd coming out that last corner was going to win, just with how powerful that slipstream is. But yeah, just happy to be on the podium, happy to race with Kane, and it was just, yeah, all really good.
How do you think you'll go this season in Formula Ford season? Because we've seen you already in the Super Formula Lights. Is this a car you've driven very much of, and is another championship run a realistic target for this season as well?
Yeah, I think we'll have a really good shot at the title this season. Just trying to challenge Kane. He's the defending champ, so he's the one I got to beat, and we nearly did then, but just 200ths off.
Well, congrats on a 1-2 to the team tonight for yourself, 2nd place, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks very much. Sebastian Eskandari finishes in 2nd place in front of Jordan Mazzaroli, who has the closest finish of the season. Well, maybe the season, certainly this race. Jordan, welcome in. Congratulations on a 3rd place finish, but what a close finish that was between yourself and your teammate. Just tell us about that last lap, first of all, before we talk about the rest of the race.
Yeah, it was I was definitely sweating, that's for sure. It was a really crazy finish, especially in the last lap. But yeah, I was trying to work together with him without, trying to defend from the guy behind us. So it was a bit of a tricky situation, but yeah, definitely really stressful.
And for the rest of the race as well, just asking the Max Boost drivers about sort of the way you guys fought for 3rd place so early on in the race. What was the sort of feeling in the group, from inside the car, about how hard you were fighting for 3rd place and sort of letting the 2 leaders go? Was there not, a bit more desire to cooperate and try and keep those 2 leaders close in that race, or were you happy to fight for the final podium space from pretty early on?
Yeah, like, I mean, probably learning from next time. Probably. Well, it's a bit of a learning curve. I think. I've been out of the formula of the open wheeler game for a while. So, but anyway, it's basically So, it was a little bit difficult trying to cooperate, especially when you have other drivers trying to overtake you as well. So you're trying to cooperate, but then you also got the other people, the guys behind you to worry about, which didn't really want to cooperate either. But so it was. I think we wanted to try and work together to get closer, but I think it's just having other cars with us in the pack just didn't really help, unfortunately.
Congrats nevertheless on getting to third place tonight, Jordan, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of the race as well.
No worries, cheers.
Thanks very much. That's Jordan Mazzaroli, finishes in third place tonight from Tulip Racing, who maybe we'll learn a bit more for next time. Interesting to see what they do next time as far as keeping the leaders close are concerned. That, by the way, is the still of the photo finish between the two of them. We didn't quite register it, Reese, at the time because they were so close at the front of the field as well. But behind, it was, as it turns out, even closer. An absolute dead heat as far as the time is concerned. In fact, my timing screen actually shows Seth Burkhart's in front because it can't really decide who to put in front. On the iRacing, which is where it's important, Jordan Mazzaroli is just about scored in front, but you cannot see any difference between those two as they go over the line.
Absolutely not. The official event timing shows Mazzaroli ahead, but I think they would have had to go down to the probably 100,000th of a second. I believe iRacing typically measures time down to five digits after the decimal place, but only shows 3. So that's the reason why Mazzaroli was scored ahead. What a round. What an opening round of the season. We're going to be doing this for the next month or so, ending things just before Christmas, Ewan. I think we're in for a very fun December.
Yeah, we certainly are. That will not be the point. There we go. There's the points. But and there's the race results indeed as well. Normal point system for this series. So 100 chicane rider and extra points for pole as well, and so on. Obviously, we're dished out earlier on here today. In the end, the pole sitter Daniel McCrow ends up in 30th place, though, and so that bonus point will be of little solace to him, I would imagine. And repeating a second place, which he managed in last season's championship, will be pretty difficult. Anyway, that'll be just about it from us here tonight. As you mentioned, we've got a great season ahead of us, running through all the Tuesdays in December, apart from the one on the 30th between Christmas and New Year, obviously. So we'll be back next week for our only trip outside Australia at the Circuit de Ledenon in France. That's in 7 days' time. We'll be live, same time, same place for that one. So I hope that you'll join us then. For now, I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Reece Gardner in the commentary box with George Cook behind the cameras of this broadcast here tonight. It's been a pleasure to bring you the action from Phillip Island. Hope to see you back in 7 days' time for the next round of the Everything Simulated Formula 4 Championship. From all of us for now, it's goodbye.